Okay, so uh me, I don't mind the term black. Even though none of us are really black, as the name suggests, like no people, none of our people, the race known as Negroes, we're anywhere from brown to a dark brown, into an orangish to a reddish brown, to a, because of mixing, to a lighter brownish yellow, tawny, and some people are even lighter than that, depending on how recently they had other races mixed in with them. But I don't mind the term black, um, for me, because to me there's no harm. You what would they say, brown person? Because I like, me, I actually like being distinguished, my skin color, especially now. I like my skin color to be mentioned. I like to be distinguished by skin color, because that our skin color is part of the sign of who we are. That's how I look at that. Um, is there a reason why you don't like the term black? And do you consider yourself of the race known as Negroes? Okay. We'll see if we can get JD's answer here, and hopefully uh, get some clarity on what JD is saying, because all people are welcome to share. Let's see. The problem is because the Hamites are also black. Therefore, it allows the other nations to lump us into one group. Yeah, for people who don't know, for people who don't know any better. But what I've learned is there's 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 other black people all over the world. Really, the Australian people, what you may call black people, the Australian Aborigines, the original Maori people of New Zealand, the people of Tonga, the people, the original Native Americans were black, and all, and so, but there's one thing that separates black Americans from them, and that's because we're the race known as Negroes, the true Negroes, and and that's what distinguishes us. That's why I don't mind being called Negro either. I think it's wonderful to call us Negro, because that distinguishes us from all other black people. Okay, so yeah, the Hamites are black, and other peoples around the world. But me, I embrace it. I embrace my blackness. So, with proper history and proper learning, it's very easy to identify who are the Negroes and who are not. Because basically, once we know that the Hamites, once you know who the Negroes are in Africa and all over the world, it's easy, because Bantus, okay, the Bantus of Central, East Africa, Southeast Africa, South Africa, all the way to Southeast Africa, South Central Africa. The Bantu people of the lower part of the sub-Saharan area of the sub-Saharan Africa. They're the same race of people as the West Africans, the race known as Negroes. There's no difference in DNA. They are all Israelites. They're all from the same origin that came into Africa from the Middle East. And so once you know who the Bantus are, see, it's easy to distinguish, because what's left. You have uh Nilotes that are live in those regions as well. Those can be distinguished. And you have what are called pygmies. Those are can easily be distinguished from Black America, from the race known as Negroes. And what I forget, they used to call them Bushmen, or I think the proper word now is sign people. Okay, but you see, it's easy to identify a race from all of them. Tutsis, the Tutsis are Israelites. They are Negroes. They're Israelites as well as the Hutus. Yeah, the Tutsis and Hutus, even though they had that big, you know what, side years ago, all Israelites. Um, so for me, and so one thing that confirms this. So when I've talked to people on YouTube from the nations, okay, from East Africa and so on and so forth, they know which tribes are Bantus, and they know which tribes are Nilotes. So it's easy for them. You ask them, they can tell you, I'm Nilote, I'm a Nilote. You ask another group of people, oh, we're Bantus. So once you know that, it's easy. So it's not, in other words, once you know how we're distinguished, you can't get us confused. And so when you realize that West Africans, such as the Yoruba people, such as the the Igbo people, and the Wolof, and the Mandinka, and the Guy Dangbe people, and the Itsekiri people, and I mean, it's so many. The I know so many. I can't think of them all now. The Mande people, okay. The Bamaleke, the and so once you know them, okay, the Bakongo people, the Baluba people, the Batatela tribe, all those people are Negroes, so it's easy to tell. So I feel like this, any confusion that would come from people not knowing the differences between the black race, for those people it may not matter anyway, because the main people who need to know this now, I think the main people who need to know the difference is our people, because we've had people who's always known who we are. They hid it, but they've always known who we are. So um let them, the way I look at it, let them lump us up. And I'll tell you something else, really and truly, for people who don't like black people of any nation, it's not going to matter to them if they look at us and don't see humanity or any value in our lives as people. If they can't stand to even look at us or be around us, then it's not going to matter to them what nation we're from, because they're not going to have any love for any black person. That's how I look at it. I could be wrong. What do you get from that? Do you get any? What do you get from that, JD? But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying my opinion on the things, because I look at it, I take it easy on those things. Those things like that, I don't worry about those. Like say example, whether it be called black, call me black. I wish that you could call us Negroes again. That's fine, because you know what? That's where our true history is at. Yeah. If somebody asks me, I like telling them that I'm a black man, simply because, not that I think I'm better, but it's because I appreciate who I am. And especially now that I know our history, I appreciate who I am and who our people are more, and I have a new peace with it. Because people who those types of people who confuse us, or even that it'll matter to, um for people who are not able to feel compassion or any love for any black person. Some people just can't, because they can't, they're literally, some people don't can't feel any compassion except for their own people. And for people like that, it doesn't matter, they're not going to change anyway. But that's my opinion. Do you have anything else, uh um do you have anything else, JD, that you want to share, or any comments or any corrections, because guess what, I don't know everything, but let me know what you get from this, okay? JD Israel comments, the nations were separated by nations. The Germans were the ones who used skin color to separate us. Once you call yourself a skin color as an identifier, that does not show respect for yourself. Well, I don't agree with that, but I understand that. I respect the way that you feel that way. I respect you for feeling that way, but I don't feel that way. Um, you see, if a person lets their skin color, that if the person hears a word about their skin color and they feel like they don't respect themselves for that, they didn't respect themselves to begin with. Because deep self-respect, true self-respect, is deeper than a skin color. That's how I look at it. Not saying you're wrong, but guess what? We're not all the same color. What should we be called then? If okay, what should black people, or our race, okay, specifically Israelites or Negroes, what should our people be called then, if we're not uh what is the right word that you would use? Because there has to be a way to distinguish us. We are a different color than people say in China, and there's people a different color in India than both of us, and then somebody from um Sweden's a different color. And I mean, so we could, okay, so if we can call each other by our nation, okay, we could say everybody who's in America are Americans. Everybody in America is just Americans, and there's no longer color. But what if something happens, and say that somebody does something bad, okay? Somebody commits a crime, and they need a description of the person in order to let people know what they look like to catch them. And because the person is a danger to society, okay? What what then? What do you How would you describe the person if not by skin color? In a situation like that, what would you call those people? And I'll wait. I hope that you answer, give your response. And while you as you do that, I asked like another something that just came to my head, that what if you went into a get together, okay, and in this get together you're supposed to find someone, and you're supposed to find a particular person, but say at that time now, all we just call each other are Americans. There nobody speaks of skin color anymore. But that person, the only way to distinguish them from the others is by how they look, their skin color. Because in this get together that all the people are mixed, you have white people, uh, Asian people, black people, Pacific Islanders, Native Americans. You have even Latinos or Hispanics, and people who I may have missed, different parts of Asian in Asia and Europe. And so if you in Australia, say if you have Aborigines too, if you have it mixed up like that, and then you say, go and find this person, okay, and then you say, well, what do they look like? They're American. Well, what if they're all Americans? Then how do you find the person if you don't mention skin color anymore? Hebrews, the JD responds, Hebrews, Israelites, Yasharal. Deuteronomy 28:37 shows why you call yourself black. I would describe them as an Israelite. Let's look up Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. Deuteronomy. Oh, 1 second here. Um, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Okay, I'll look in the King James Version now. And so here I'll find Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 27. The Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof thou canst not be healed. Okay, I'm sorry. That was 27. I read the wrong verse. I'm sorry. Uh Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Okay. So how does hello Sway? Is it Chuya? Forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. Or Swaya? Please, Shuya. Please forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. Welcome, welcome. Okay, thank you for coming. Um, so how does for JD Israel, how would that translate? How does Deuteronomy 28, verse 37 translate into or how does that show us why we call ourselves black? Let me know how you're doing. Is it Shuya? Sway Shwaya? Shwaya 25? Yes, I recognize you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. You're Qatar, right? I think that you're least. Welcome, welcome. I know who you are. I just I just have never said your name. I've heard other people say it. I just don't remember, but I've never said it. So but I know exactly who you are. Okay. You're welcome here. Um, wait a minute. Is it? I can't remember. Is that right, Cotter? That you're in, and okay. So your mods. I have you made you a moderator. Um, so how are you? How are you doing? It's Shwaya 25. How are you doing? Shwaya? Oh, it's Shwaya. Is that right? Shwaya. Okay, okay, good, good. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Um, I'm glad that you're doing good. In this conversation, I started out. I was going to intended on talking about these signs from God that he put on Martin Luther King. Shuya, do you or Swaya, do you know who Martin Luther King is? Martin Luther King Jr. He was an American civil rights activist. Please let me know it should Swaya if you know who Martin Luther King Jr. is. And are you still there, JD Israel? So this conversation took a turn from the original topic, but you know what? That's all right. We can keep going because maybe this needs to be talked about. And what I'll do, we can talk about this, and after this live stream, I will after this live stream, I will change the name of it and just about something about our what should black people be called, something like that. So this is not a bad thing because maybe this needs to be talked about. Black is not our identifier. The name Israel is in the Bible 2,500 plus times. If that was not what we were called after Jacob wrestled the angel, we had a name and we should use it. I agree. I agree. In which we should use it among each other, especially. But I think until because we have to remember too that we live in a world where the mainstream, where the establishment are not going to openly officially mention us as Israelites. They're not going to do it because they support another group of people. okay, who are not, but their allegiance is to another people, okay? And so I don't know what else to how else we can do it. But I agree, because I believe in let me know, JD Israel. So let me ask you this. Let me say, do you agree that probably most of those nations that we read about in the Old Testament were black at that time? Um, so at that time, when most of the people would have been people of color, then at that time it would have been, especially then. You know what? I did read a couple of times. I read that it was more common in the old times, the old days, to recognize a person from their nation. Yeah, I do agree with you there. I think that's what I read. So hello, welcome, Sister Chandra. Welcome, welcome. And so, um, I forgot. One second. So so I don't know how we would do that in the land of Gentiles. Oh, she's a YouTuber. She does that. Something that I've learned from people. She's from India. People from India, they're more active in live stream. If I have been, let me tell you something that surprised me. JD Israel, I went to some Indian channels, or channels where there were a lot of Indian people, and they keep the okay, good. You're welcome. You're very welcome here, Swaya. It's good to have you here. Okay, very good to have you. So, uh, I noticed when I went to Indian live streams, or even live streams that had a majority of Indian people there, their chats keep moving. I've never seen anything like that. They chats can move up and down, different people typing all at once, and they keep their chats moving like nonstop. It's so tight that there's no room for space in between their chats. That's how I've seen many of them do that. So I think that it's cultural. So that's what they do. And I had to see that to understand that. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but like if you've never seen it before, it's like it's something else. So yes, good morning, Sister Chandra. Um I don't know if you know, so um I can't remember. I think, did I ask you one time if JD Israel, if you are you a brother or a sister? I thought I asked you that one time, but I don't remember. Welcome everybody. Please, I don't know if you know Sister Shonda Swaya. Okay, okay. But please connect with her. JD Israel, you're not a content creator, are you? I looked on your so um let me see here. You have a very long playlist. Um let's see here. Yeah. So I don't know if connecting would be with other people is a priority for you. Um but yeah. Um So I mean, in this nation, I don't know of um I don't know how we would be classified as Israelites in the Gentile nations unless we just call each other that, because they're sure not going to do it, and they know, many know the truth, but they're not going to openly acknowledge it. And I'll tell you something else too that I believe. Okay, um, that things are not going to be like they should be in the way that they or in or things are not going to be proper until our people get back to the land, to the promised land, okay, to our real home with God, Yahweh. Then at that time, our true identity and who we are and our position in the world will be firmly established. But until then, because one problem that I see is that many of our own people do not identify, or they don't want to be identified with their heritage. They feel like they don't want to be known as Israelites. So even, you know, so even within, or there's our people, ministers and people like that who fight against us. There are people who know the truth, but they still don't accept the truth. Um okay, brother Swaya says, black people, do you do live stream nights apart from morning hours? Yes, I do. So brother Swaya, I do them at any time. I don't have a set time, because sometimes what happens, I just do it when the feeling hits me, or when I get the a strong feeling that I need to talk about something, I do it then. So that could be any time of the day or night. Let me see. There are many times where I have ended up having live streams around this time. Okay. So, you know, if you see me around this time, yeah, a lot of times I'll begin around 10, or I can't remember, like 9:30 or something like that. So now um were you, Sister Chandra, are you able to connect with Brother Swaya? If you haven't already, y'all, I don't know if you're still here, Sister Chandra. Okay, Brother JD, Brother Israel. I know I once thought about making videos. However, if I teach the wrong thing, millions could be misled to destruction. I used to be on YouTube before I realized the New Testament is fake. Okay, okay. Um, so so what I get from this, you had a YouTube channel, Israel, and then you found out the New Testament is fake, and then you ended your YouTube channel. You deleted it as to not mislead people. That's what I get from what you're saying. Okay, Sister Chandra is laughing. I'm not sure why. Um, Brother Israel, so you once had a YouTube channel and then you deleted it because it you realized the New Testament is fake. And so now that you've no, I okay. No, I did live Bible studies with another church. He still has my videos. However, I do not collaborate with them anymore since they are messianic. Okay. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So at this point, now that you're no longer messianic and that you believe in the Old Testament only or Yah only, do you not feel like you feel like you have the truth now? Do you feel like what you have learned or being awakened to as being Old Testament only? Do you feel like what you comfortable that what you've learned is the truth? Sister Chandra, the, you speak a little. You speak English, what, a little bit, or mostly Hindi? While I wait on the answer, welcome everybody. Welcome. This I apologize. I'm going to come back and do a video later on about Martin Luther King and how God used him to warn America, okay, before America's judgment, that God sent Martin Luther King to warn America to repent for mistreating the Israelites and really all people. But since this conversation, I've been talking with somebody, another brother, and he we have, you know, changed it into a conversation more about things about Israelite identity and things like that. So I will come back out. So you're welcome to stay here, but in this live stream, it will not be about Martin Luther King and the sign from God. But please come back though if you want to see, because I'm going to show you, like I keep telling people, that God has Yahweh, Almighty God, has shown us signs, so many signs that people are missing, and that there's signs around that proves that God sent Martin Luther King, okay, to warn America before judgment comes, because the people who, okay, one sec, let's see, brother Swaya, I think 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. would be better for a huge audience if you can manage for people to get this information. I think so. um you're right. I do need to most likely come a bit earlier, but sometimes the feeling hits me a little bit later. And like earlier tonight, I saw new signs from God that I didn't see before. And I was messing with them. I was sitting and so I was messing with them. And that was so, in other words, sometimes when I'm looking at something, I end up finding something else. And so, but you are, but to your point, you are right. I do, I will see, because I've never done a live stream at 6. Now I've done a live stream at 9 or around 9 o'clock, something like that, or a little bit after. So I have to experiment and see. Um, but that is good advice, Brother Swaya. Hey, Brother Swaya, are you a Bantu or are you Nilo? Please let me know what you because I ask people like because I like to know learn more about this. Please let me know, Brother Swaya. Uh, Brother Israel. Okay, Bantu. Okay, so what people or tribe do you come from? I'm deeply interested in that. And while Brother Swaya, I wait on him to get back to us. Goosey. Okay, okay. I've heard of that. Sometimes are your people's called Bagusi? Maybe. I'm trying to think. Are you related to the Yeah, yeah. I think Goose. Sometimes people call you Bugusi, Bugusii, but Goosey is short. Abagusi. That okay, okay, okay. I knew it was something like that. Yeah, I've heard of you. Welcome. Because I have a special message too for Bantus, because to let people know who may not know, I have talked to many Bantus who do know that you're the children of God, who know that you're Israelites. And I've talked to some Bantus who don't know that. But if please check out my channels, um, uh, my videos and live streams, because I talk specifically and I warn people about the signs from God, and I let people know that God is coming back to collect our people, all the places in the world where our people have been scattered. Almighty Yahweh is coming back to gather our people. Shall you return? Okay, Chandra is speaking. Looks like a mixture of English and possibly I don't know if that's Hindi. So I don't understand. Let me see. But maybe I can find out. Let me see. Sister Chandra. So, oh, but let me see. Are your people in Kenya, or are you, let's see, Uganda? Because I can't remember if you Kenyan or Ugandan, but I know all that. I mean, Bantus are all millions of Bantus are in that area. And so let me see. Oh, I'm sorry, brother JD. I didn't mean to. Uh, Let me get your message, brother Israel. I keep it basic. The primary instructions given to our people when we left Egypt, basic 10 Commandments, along with the feast days. I try to stay away from our people debating about nonsense. You're right, because all that stuff that a lot of people are fighting with and all that, it doesn't matter anyway. And truly, the Bible, the scripture shows us that Yahweh is not a God of confusion, and that we should use wisdom and avoid these useless. Um, the Bible encourages not to engage in foolish talk with people who are talking foolishly. And so you're right about that. There's a lot of foolishness and deceitfulness inside the Israelite awakening that's tarnishing it for a lot of people. And I find it to be very sad, very sad. And those who's causing the confusion and misleading people are going to be punished if they don't repent. Yeah. So um Kenya. Okay, okay, okay. Um, do you call God? Let's see. Your people's the name. Are you leaving now, Sister Chandra? Is Kajiye support Kajiye? Is that support my channel? I don't know. But so good, good. That's okay. Okay. Uh, I came to your channel, Sister Cassandra. I mean, Sister Chandra, but I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I tried to talk, but people wouldn't talk to me. So I just didn't know. Uh, so and see, like that's what black people. Where are you originally from? USA. I'm from America, USA. Yeah, yeah. But then in this awakening, I realized that our people are Israelites. That we're the children of God from the Bible. Okay, and when I found that out, then I started finding out about the West Africans that most Black Americans descend from. We descend from a lot of Bantu peoples too. But then I found out about the Bantus because before I woke up, I didn't know really. I've heard of certain tribes of groups, but I didn't even know what Bantus were. Like I've heard of Zulus and Kosa people and people like that. I've heard of Kikuyu people, but recently I learned about Bantus, and so now it's taken my mind to our people all over the world. Short Banangi main Baji. I should be. I don't know if I'm able to translate this. I need to learn. Um, one second here. Maybe I can. Let me see if I can find out what you're saying. Uh, so, um, but yeah, I'm American. Brother. So, brother, um, Swaya. Um, what do you call God? Do you call God Nyase? Do you call God Nyase or Gayi or Mungu? What do the Goosey people call God? I've heard of the name Makama. Um, please let me know because I like to keep up with those things. Uh, so Sister Chandra has written in Hindi, it looks like, and I cannot understand a word of it. And then Sister Chandra came and wrote in English letters, but still, English still. Okay, let me see what I can find out, brother. And while I look up, see if I can find out what Sister Chandra is saying. Brother, JD. So brother JD, what do you call God as well? Do you call him Yahweh? Do you call him Yah? Um, please let me know. Um, let me see. Hey Google, what does Ram Ram mean in the Hindi language? Oh, okay, okay, Gai. Okay, Brother Swaya says Gai, but we mostly say Yase, which is used by the Luo people. Okay, okay, I appreciate that. So, so the Kikuyu people also call God Gai, which is similar. And Yase is very similar to Yahweh. It's the same God. Gai is all the same God as Yahweh. Are you in agreement with me, brother Swaya, that Yase and Gai are both names for Yahweh of the Old Testament of the Bible? In Hindi, okay, in Hindi, Ram Ram is a traditional and respectful greeting or farewell, similar to saying hello or goodbye. Okay, okay, and so um, uh, um, um, brother Israel, let me know if you're still there. What's on your mind? Let me know what you have on your mind, brother. Uh, brother Israel. Um, what does Benangi mean in Hindi? Meaning of the Hindi word Benangi. I'm probably saying it right. Wrong. Yeah. Yeah, I need to learn how to because I don't know how to. Okay, so Brother Israel says, I say the Most High, since there are way too many names floating around. I think it's part of Psalm 83. The nations extracted this true name on purpose. Okay, okay. Um, do you believe that Yahweh is really supposed to be in the Bible over 6,800 times? That it was Yahweh, the name that they took out? That's what I believe. But I don't know what you. Um, I'll tell you why I believe, Brother Israel. Give me a second. I'll tell you why I believe it's Yahweh. Um, Brother Swaya, Yase used to be saved by the Luo River Lake Nilotes. Okay, okay, and but you know what's interesting about that? That even though the Luo people use Yase, that Bantus, many Bantus and West Africans, okay, are still all using basically still referring to the same God, Gai. I don't know if that's another translation for Yahweh, Gai, but the reason I say that is because um, Let me show you. Um, um, Welcome everybody. Thank you for the likes. Welcome. Come on in. Uh, so I found many versions that Bantu people and West Africans, because West Africans and Bantu people are the same race, the same people. They're Israelites. Okay. Bantus and West Africans, and even our people, the people who come from descendants of slavery, okay? We all have the Y DNA called E1B1A. E1B1A. That's our Y DNA. So that's another way that we know that West Africans and Bantus are really the same people, but they just migrated into different parts of Africa. But what's so, like, for example, these are people, some people that I found that say names very similar to Yahweh. They're calling God Yahweh, but just in their language. Okay. The Dwala people from Cameroon, I believe I have to go back and look. I believe they're Bantus. I believe there's Bantus in Cameroon, but they call God Iwandi. You see how it's similar to Yahweh? Iwandi. They're saying Yahweh. Iwandi. And another name that they call God is Loba in Ibasi. Ibasi. That is very similar to Abba, like father. You see, that's very similar to father. And let's see here. One sec. I'll be with you in a second, brother JD. Let me see some other names. And I know there's a lot more. So yeah, and then another group of people that called. So the Ibibio people of Nigeria also call God Abasi, Abba, Abasi. I don't know what the C means. I don't know if it's like another way of saying Chi of life, father of life. I don't know, but Abasi, Abba, Abasi. That's taken from Hebrew. The Banyankole people or the Nkole people, they call God Ruhang, Ruhang, okay, or Ruhang. I look into the Hebrew scriptures, and I believe that the Banyankole people, when they call God Ruhang, are calling him Ruach. You see the similar in Ruach in Hebrew or in the biblical language that our people spoke in Israel. In Hebrew, Ruach means spirit. So they're calling like the great spirit, or they're calling God spirit in Hebrew. I believe the Banyankole people are calling him Ruhang, which means Ruach. They're saying Ruach, Ruach, Ruhang, Ruach. And I believe, and so your people are speaking Hebrew, biblical Hebrew. The language, if you look at the Swahili language, it has a lot of, if you look at it, there's a lot of words that match biblical, the words that you'll find in the Bible, biblical Hebrew. Even your names, Bantu names, many Bantu names can be found in the Bible. Now, so let's see. Uh, Brother Israel says, you may be correct. However, Zephaniah 3:9. So for now, I don't focus on it. Okay. I will look up Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9. And Brother Swaya, we are referring to the same God, the Most High. It's only the change of the language according to the tribe. Yeah. It's a different variation. But what I was happy to find out was that the Bantu people Before the Europeans came, Bantu people already knew that there was an Almighty God. They knew that there was one Almighty Spirit who was a creator, who created everything. Okay, some people may have lesser gods. Some people may not, but they are. But one thing I found all over sub-Saharan Africa, especially of the Bantus and West Africans, that they already know there's an Almighty Creator. They knew it before, and they were calling God Yahweh before the Europeans came. They call it in one form or another. Okay, the word Yahweh in one form or another. And then I also read that because Nilotes, like the Luo people and Bantus, lived in close proximity to each other, so that sometimes there are people who, let me know if I'm right, Brother Swaya, but from what I learned, that there are Bantu people who speak Luo, or they speak Nilote languages, but they're still Bantu people by blood, from the Bantu bloodline. It's just they're Bantus that speak a Nilote language. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9, King James Version. Oh, welcome, Gladiatrix. I've seen you before. Welcome. Let me see if I can remember who you are. Welcome, Gladiatrix. Okay. I've seen you before somewhere. Welcome, though. Welcome. Okay. So I pulled up your channel. I'll check out your channel later on. Um Welcome. So Gladiatrix, are you Filipina? And while I wait for that, let me look and see what Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9 says. Welcome, everybody. For then I will turn to the people of pure language, which they may all call upon the name of the Lord, to serve him with one consent. Okay. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. And plus, Yahweh knows who you're talking about, or God knows. But I prefer to call him Yahweh because let me show you why. Because there's one scripture that says the name of Yahweh is a strong tower, and to it the righteous run and are saved. Okay, the name of Yahweh is a strong tower, and to it the righteous run and are saved. And then there's another one that I go over quite a bit, and this is why. Um, One second here. Joel chapter 2, World English Bible. Oh, Joel chapter 2, World English Bible. Gladiatrix, are you still here? Are you Filipina? I've seen you. somewhere in a live stream or something, I believe. Um, oh yeah, but while I wait, oh, but let me show you something. So let me um what just happened here? Okay, 1 second here. Um, yes, y'all please connect. Um, usually that pulls up. That's okay. Joel, yeah, but here, Joel. So I'll just look it up. 1 second here. Um, so here we go. Okay. Here we go. So another reason why I use Yahweh's name is because it mentions the time of the end. And so let's go down to so it speaks. Let me start at Joel chapter 2, verse 28. Well, I'll start at verse 30 so I don't take up too much. It says, I will show wonders in the heavens. Speaking of the end times or the last days, I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. The sun will be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of Yahweh comes. Now, verse 32, Joel chapter 2, verse 32 is why I another reason why I always use Yahweh's name as much as possible. It says it will happen that who will call on Yahweh's name. I'm sorry. It will happen that whoever will call on Yahweh's name shall be saved. For in Mount Zion in Jerusalem, there will be those who escape. Okay. As Yahweh has said, and among the remnant, those whom Yahweh calls. But it says there, it will happen that whoever will call on Yahweh's name shall be saved. So, so that's a strong statement there. And so we know that titles such as God, Father, um, or the Almighty, they describe God, but they're titles. But Yahweh, there's only one Yahweh. And so it says that those who call on his name actually call on his name, Yahweh. So it's like, well, I'm not taking any chances. So for me, I know that Yahweh is supposed to be in the Old Testament over 6,800 times before people took it out. Yahweh's name should not have been taken out. And because when it's Yahweh's name, God's name is in the Old Testament as it should be, then when people read it, they can truly understand that everything is about Yahweh and all blessings and all future fulfillment of Bible prophecy will be done by Almighty God Yahweh. And I also understand from what I read that if you add the words like Yah, shortened forms of Yahweh in the Old Testament, that it becomes closer to 7,000 times that you'll find Yahweh or some form of his name in the Old Testament. So that's a lot. So that's why I call his name. I love calling Yahweh's name. But to, I'm not saying that you're wrong, brother Israel, but that's just my opinion on it. But not my opinion. I'm just going by what the scriptures say about it. And I believe there's more scriptures telling us to call on Yahweh's name. Um, so, oh yeah, but I was brother Sway. I don't know if you're still there, but yeah. So, but that's not all. I found more names of God from the biblical names, from biblical Hebrews that the Israelites spoke thousands of years ago. Your people are the Bantu people are speaking those names, like I believe the Nkole people are also called Banyan Nkole people. They also call God Mukama. Okay, Mukama, which means Lord, from what I understand. Mukama. In Hebrew, Hamakam means that the place. Okay, and from what I understand, people use that Hamakam in Hebrew to say that God is everywhere. But to even take Mukama, the name for the Lord of the Bayan Koli Bantus use, there's another word even closer, that Makam. You see that Makam in biblical Hebrew, and Mukama that the Banyan Kole people speak. That's amazing. The Bantus are speaking, saying the same words for God that the Israelites and the Bantus used in the Old Testament of the Bible. You're so it's amazing, because when you look at Bantu, the Bantu languages, even Swahili, you look and find so many biblical Hebrew words. You know why? Because Bantu people are the Israelites, the original true people of God. So look how close that is. Mukama, the Nkole people call God Mukama. And also in Hebrew, his name can be called Makam or Hamokam, which means place, or that emphasizes that God is everywhere in every place. That's amazing. Okay, how and even but there's more names for um, the people, the Kusasi people call God Wenam, Wenam, and I believe that what they're saying is Iman. You see, in the Hebrew word, in Hebrew, there's a name for God, Iman. Winam, Iman. You see how close it is? Iman, Winam, Iman. I believe that they're saying Iman in their language. And then sometimes there's a saying, the Kusasi people of Ghana also call God Winam Gandag. All right, Winam Gandag, or Gandag Winam. And Gandag means powerful. Okay, that's what the Kusasi people of Ghana, from what I read, Gandag means powerful. And if you look, there's a Hebrew word called Gabar, Gabar, and it means to prevail, to be strong, to be mighty. I believe that it's very possible that the word gandag, that the Wenham that the Kusasi people speak, is they're saying gabar in Hebrew, which means to prevail, to be strong and mighty. So when they say Winam Gandag, I believe they're saying Iman Gabar. You see how similar it is? Possibly over thousands of years, the way they say it could have changed, but it's very similar. You see what I'm saying? Languages change over many years a little bit, but basically they're still calling God the same thing. Winam Gandak, Iman, Gabar. That's what it sounds like. I could be wrong. Bantus, Shwaya says, Bantus, we almost speak the same. Yes. While I don't speak any Bantu language myself, I have looked at Bantu languages and I have looked at their classification. And they're so close, some of them, as 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 to like almost be speaking the same language. That's why, because I asked some Bantu people from different places if they can understand people from other countries that speak a Bantu language, and they said that sometimes that they're able to understand certain words or understand certain things because they're similar. But you all speak the same because you're the same people, even though you there may be differences in the tribes, but or the but you're all Israelites. And you all come from speaking biblical Hebrew, and you all still speak a form of Hebrew today. That's really what the Bantu language is a form of Hebrew. And you may find, depending on what people you're around, you'll find some Arabic words in there because they're, Arab influence. You may find some English words that are mixed that Bantu people mix in. But when you go and look at Bantu and you start comparing the words, there's so many words that are Hebrew words. That are biblical Hebrew words. You guys are speaking the language of the Israelites in the Bible, swear. Yeah, you might probably already know this. But see, the black Americans and the people like me who were sent into slavery, whose descendants were sent into slavery, whether our people were sent to Jamaica or Cuba or Haiti or Brazil, our people have been sent all over. But we come from West Africans and even many Bantus. I think when you get down to South America and um, that area, Caribbean, you may have even many more Bantus that were sent to those areas. And the what I realized that I didn't know before is that the Bantu people and the West Africans are all Israelites. You're all the same people. You all have the same DNA, but you're all speakers of the Niger Congo languages, the Bantus and the West Africans. The at one point of time, once upon a time, the Niger Congo languages were called the Niger Kordofanian languages, I believe, Niger Kordofanian, and now they changed it to Niger Congo languages. So the only difference genetically, when it gets like the main difference between the Bantu and West Africans, is just the West Africans speak certain language. The West Africans speak certain language groups, but Bantu speak their own. They're in their own language classification, which is a bit. They have more of a similar language type. But there are still words that West Africans say that is also very similar to what Bantu say as well. See, I've looked at this. It's many years, well, several years. I've looked at this. Read about this off and on. So that's how I learned this. It's amazing. So we're um okay. Brother Swaya says Kenyans call a man Omasacha and Ugandans call a man Omasaja. Slight difference. Yeah, I see that. That's amazing. So okay. So if a person from Kenya met somebody in Uganda, even though they don't speak the language, they would know just from hearing that they're most likely when they say Omasaja, they're saying man, Omasacha, and the other way around too. That's amazing. And there are uh many other words like that. But that's the only thing that separates the Bantus from the West Africans. Genetically, you're you're all the same people. All your people are from the Middle East. The Bantu migration or the Bantu expansions into Africa over many hundreds and thousands of years, the Bantus came into Africa, but originally the Bantus and West Africans are from the Middle East. The Bantus are Middle Eastern people, and particularly Israel. Brother Swea, in Kenya, Abagusi tribe calls a person a Manto. In the Kikuyu, Modo. We Bantus. Okay, that's very similar. I'm a Manto and Modo. That's very similar. Abagusi, Amanto, and Kikuyu, Modo, Manto, Amanto, Modo. Yeah. And so Amasachi, Amasaja, Amanto, Modo. Yeah. And I'm sure, Brother Swaya, that there are many words, many words that you can find that are about the same in your languages of the Bantus in those areas, which is really amazing because what amazed me at first, I didn't realize it because I was trying to, when I first awakened and realized that the race that I raised, the race known as Negroes, okay, that because we're what's called in the old classifications, our race, the Bantus and West Africans, and people like me who descend from the West Africans and Bantus, we're all known as the race known as Negroes or the true Negroes. That's what because people in science we used to be called true Negroes to separate us from the other black people who may look similar, who are black and have similar features, but they're still a different race. And what amazed me was to find out that it's not just different that our people say from are just a different tribe, like say the Bantus are just different tribes, but the Bantus are a completely different race from the Nilotes. And it's proven with DNA. So while there's a lot of black people over the world, there's only one people that can be Bantus and West Africans, and that's the race known as Negroes. You have people what they call have Negroid features, which are similar to Negroes, but there's no mistaking that the race known, the true Negroes or the Negroes, that's how you know who we are and that we're Israelites. In other words, I was shocked. I was amazed because as I kept looking, when I first found out about this, I was reading over a few years and stuff, and I was like, when I looked up the different tribes or peoples in different countries, I was like, they have very similar beliefs. Basically, they have the same beliefs about God, maybe a little difference here or there. But all the way in West Africa, and then when I read about beliefs in God in Kenya or Uganda, it's very similar. I was like, and I said to myself, these people are all in the same language classification. And I said, dear God, I said, Yahweh, I said, God, I said, all those people are the same people. I said, they're from different countries. They may speak different languages, but it's all part of the same language family. They all speak a form of Hebrew. I was shocked when I realized that hundreds of millions of people in sub-Saharan Africa alone are Israelites, the children of God. Hundreds of millions of Bantus alone are Israelites. So then I started realizing that y'all are the children of God from the Bible, that the Bantus descend from, in my people too, we descend from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob of the Bible, that Moses, Father Abraham, Aaron, mighty King David, the wise and rich King Solomon, Isaiah, Daniel, Ezekiel, and so many more. Who else? It was Joseph and the 12 Israelite brothers, his 11 other Israelite brothers. We descend from them. So literally, when our people, when the Bantus read the Bible and read about the Israelites being free from Egypt after they were in slavery in Egypt, that's talking about our people. We've been tricked. Our people. So the colonizers and the enslavers changed the colors of the people in of the Bible. They changed them. They didn't want to keep the people black. They was like, no, because they knew originally. They knew, but they changed the colors of the people to make them look like them, to make them look European. But really, the people in those times, the Egyptians and the Israelites and the people in those Canaanites and people in those areas were really black people with kinky hair, like we have, with kinky hair, black, either dark black, brown, doesn't matter. Some of us are lighter, some of us are reddish brown. We are the same classification. That's right. Bantus are one family. That's right. But the only difference between the West Africans and Bantus is just that the Bantus have that language classification, and is a very vast group of people that speak Bantu languages. But all of you speak the Niger Congo languages. The Niger Congo, Niger dash, for people who haven't seen it, let me write it down. Because there may be people who want to know this who don't know this. So all of the Bantus and West Africans speak Niger Congo languages. I'm sorry. 1 second here. And there's different families of there's different families of the Bantu language. There's different um, families even within the West African languages. There's like you have the Eboid languages, more like the people who are the Edo people or the Edo tribe, they speak. and the people that's closely related to them. Then you have the Yoruboid tribes or the Yoruboid people, and they are closer to the Yoruba people. They're more closely. Then you have the Eboid, the Eboid languages, which are spoken closely related to the Igbo people. So they come in clusters. They cluster with, and they're very similar. And just like the Bantus, like from Kenya and Uganda, their words are so similar. It's also the same in West Africa. But then only to realize though that you'll find other West African words too that are similar to Bantu words, but the Bantu by the Bantu language is more distinguished into itself. But for people who don't know, the Bantus, the West Africans, they speak the Niger Congo languages. That's the language, all of them. And Bantu is just another branch. It's another, although it's a very large branch of Niger Congo languages, it's still the same. So when I realized, because I have history books and books that's showing like the once you know that one group of Bantus is an Israelite, you know all of them are Israelites. Once you know that the Abagusi are Israelites, do you know that the Zulu people of South Africa are Israelites? And once you know that the Zulu people are Israelites, then you know, well, the people, the Avambo people in Angola, they're Bantus as well. So they're Israelites. And you start realizing, wait a minute, the Songa people are Israelites. The and the Kosa people are Israelites. You start realizing, and then there's so many names I can hardly remember now. But the Mavumba people of Angola are Israelites. And the Indevele people, the Shona people are Israelites. And they're all the same people in West Africans, and you realize this whole time, well, there's been shows and books written about the lost tribes of Israel, supposedly the lost tribes. The tribes have not been lost. They're where they're supposed to be, in Africa, in different places where our people were sent into slavery and our people moved. Like even in India, there are Bantu related people that are there. The islands off of the coast of Africa, Seychelles, Madagascar, the Bantu people related for there, and Mauritius, if I'm saying it right, Cape Verde, and all those. There's so many little islands, and guess what? West Africans and Bantus were sent into slavery in the Western Hemisphere, all the way from the Caribbean, from South America, all the way up to North America, including Central America, the Caribbean islands, the Bahamas, and in little islands, Antigua, and um, um, Grenada, British Guyana. I don't know what they're called now. French Guyana, Brazil, Bolivia, Chile, all the people, the African slaves that were sent, were the race known as Negroes, are the children of God from the Bible. We are the true Israelites. Hundreds of millions of us all over the world. I was shocked when I found that out. I was shocked. But you know what though? But the Bible says, you know what? People shouldn't be surprised that the Israelites would be in Africa. You know why? Because Israel and Africa are basically, they're so close together. They're one. The Israel, the real Israel of the Bible is on the African continental plate. Okay, it's all Africa. The Egyptians are African. People like to try to call Egyptians. They like to try to call them the Egypt, Middle East. The Egypt's not Middle East. You can't separate Egypt from Africa when Egypt's on the continent of Africa. And the people, the ancient Egyptians that built the pyramids and the Sphinx and all those wonders were black people, descendants of Ham from the Bible. And the Israelites were all black people. But then people took those, got to drawing those pictures and painting pictures. They said, we're not, so you can't, it's hard to still to take somebody's. So once you realize that it was Bantus who wrote the Bible, it was Bantus in the Bible. The people we read about and love in the Bible are Bantus. And you realize they were black. They were the race known as Negroes. So when the Europeans took the Bible, they got it and they read it, they knew what color the people were. And they was like, we're not having that. So you can't take a person's religion and their identity, or you can't steal their Bible and still have it look like them if there's people you're trying to control. You understand? If you're trying to control a group of people, because what they did once they conquered a nation, the next thing they conquered it with guns and violence and swords and unaliving people. The next thing they did was fill that nation up with people with the Bible, bringing Christianity. So you can't steal somebody's identity. You can't steal their book and let the people in the book look the same, because the people will know, well, hey, that's us in the book. But if you paint the pictures, make them look European now, and then you give the people who you want to control after you colonize their countries, then after you give the people who you want to control the Bible, you make sure that they believe that those people who wrote the Bible are all white people. Then you can control them better. But you can't control them if they know it's them. Because if they knew, so many people, and even now, still know that they're Israelites in Africa, from what I understand. But over a period of time, over a period of years, if you bring somebody Christianity to a people and keep giving it to them generation after generation, and everybody, all they've ever seen is white images of the people in the Bible. They keep seeing, people believe that's what it is if nobody tells them any differently. So basically, what they did, the Europeans took a book that was written by Bantus, and that our people were, it was Bantu people who were in the Bible, who wrote the Bible, but they stole the Bible and Europeanized it and whitened it. And then they created the religion of Christianity for themselves. In order for it was for them. The Christianity really wasn't to be for our benefit. Christianity was meant to control us. And so that's how they went all over the world with black and brown people. After they fought them, after they unalived them, after they unalived, shed people's blood, so many thousands, millions, then they brought the Bible in to finish conquering them. And after you conquer people's minds with the Bible, and people don't even believe they're in the Bible because all the images you showed are white people, right? Then you don't have to fight them with guns anymore, because you've already conquered them with Christianity. You conquered them with the Bible and with an ideology. You've conquered them. Now you don't. So So then that's why you had so many missionaries running into Africa. So many, even to this day, spreading Christianity. Because let me tell you something. I have proof that they knew the original people who first went into like the Portuguese and Spanish. They knew that who our people were. They knew the black Jews. They knew that our people were the children of God. They did it on purpose. They purposely made our people switch to Christianity to make them forget their own heritage, so they couldn't remember who they were. They've made them. That's why, and it's a. But I'm telling you, that's what they did all over the world, South America, Central America, Mexico, everywhere. That the people, that the Europeans, the colonizers, every place they colonized, they use violence, they use guns, perhaps swords, whatever it was that they used. And a lot of times it was disease that unalived so many people. It was diseases that caused many thousands, millions of people, because they had no immunity from the diseases that Europeans came with as well. But then after they conquered them, as they conquered them, or after they conquered them with warfare, with violence and brutality, then they finished the job with Christianity. So they gave people all, forced them to turn to Christianity. And then after years, people people embraced it. They took it as their own, because they weren't the ones there. So they weren't the ones who battled with them. They didn't fight the wars against the colonizers. So after a while, their people, their mother and father and grandfather and grandmother, they taught them to embrace Christianity. They went to the churches. You had priests. You had a lot of European priests, and say like even in Roman Catholicism, the head of Catholicism is in Rome, in the Vatican rather, and that's European, still European run. So basically, they showed the people, the brown and yellow people, the black people, the dark brown, where the brown people all over the earth, that they conquered with warfare, just took what they wanted, took the land, and did what they wanted to the women, children, did what they wanted to the people. They filled those lands with Bibles, but they presented it to them in a European way, and then they put the New Testament in there, and then and used Christianity to further subjugate the people. And after you take the people's minds away, you got it. You don't have to fight them anymore. Because now you've united them with at least some form of unity with Christianity, and some sort of conformity, where it even says that you're supposed to forgive your enemies, things like that. They'll take things like that. And they gave slaves here in America, they gave them their own slave Bibles, which they took parts of the Bible. They didn't give them the whole Bible now. They gave them parts of the Bible, which would tell the slaves that a slave needs to serve their master and to be obedient. And that's the way that they would get approval from the Lord. Oh, so don't worry about how we treat you, because the Bible says so. They gave them the Bible, right? Then they gave them, when they showed the pictures of people in the Bible, they were all painted white, to the point where black people didn't, well, most black people didn't even realize there were any black people in the Bible. So that's how the colonizers, the people who colonized and enslaved, because they did the same thing with the slaves too. They forced upon them the Christianity, and that was the last weapon that they needed to use. I'm not saying that people didn't resist, and that there weren't people who fought back at some other times. But I'm saying, as far as controlling the masses, Christianity was a way to unite people under that ideology, to control their minds and hearts. And that is what finished conquering all those nations. That's what finished conquering Africa. Until this day. Because so many people don't even realize their own relationship with God. When you realize, a lot of people, they go to churches, to the European churches, they don't realize that God gave, it was our people who was supposed to spread knowledge. It was the Bantus and the West Africans, the Israelites, who were supposed to be the light of the world. But our people disobeyed God, and so it was a punishment upon our people. And he allowed us, even so many of us, to even forget who we are. A lot of us don't know that we have a special relationship with this God. We don't know that the Bible prophecies are about our enslavement, being sent in exile and suffering in other lands until the very end. And only at the very end is God supposed to gather our people from all the lands that we've been scattered in, take us back to the land of Israel. And at that time, when our people take it back, all wars will cease. The land of Israel is being occupied now, but all wars have not ceased. The world is not in peace. Something is wrong. But the people who know the truth, who's been knowing a lot, they don't want people to wake up. They don't care about people. They care about what they can get from people. They can care about controlling people's minds. They want this: money, moolah, cash. They want people to control people. They don't want you to wake up and know the truth. That's why they've done so much, spent so many millions, billions of dollars maybe to hide the truth. It's a serious thing. So when you tell people after they've been taught this stuff, the stuff which really was a lie. If it's a lie, it's a lie. If it was Bantus who wrote the Bible, and the race known as Negroes, African people look like people who were like me, and it was Negroes who wrote the Bible, and you take it, even if all you do is change the people and change them white and make them people think they're European, that's a lie. And if people lie about that, they'll lie about other things. But see, let me tell you something. There's something else in there though. It's not just brown people and people who were colonized by the colonizers, the Europeans. It's not just them who's been conquered by these false teachings. You know who else has been conquered? Europeans too. Their people have been taught these things too, false beliefs. So in that way, it also affected them and has conquered their minds too, to believe a lie. So that most people in the world don't even know the truth. A lot do now. The truth is growing. It's a serious thing. So, because I used to ask Mama, I remember I asked Mama, I can't remember her response, but I remember asking something like, "Are there any black people in the Bible? Why did God create us? Did He just create our people to be slaves? Is there and oppressed? Is there nothing better from it for us?" And I wonder those things. I remember when I asked those people. I said mamas, because I was looking at the European people. Okay, I said, who are those people over there in Israel? Who are they? Those people dressed in that black. I remember asking her that. She told me, and she was like, she told me they're the Jews, and she told me basically that what she had learned, whether it was true or not, she said that they're the people of the Bible, and she told me something like, they're the kind of people. She said something like they stick together, something like that. Okay, she didn't say nothing bad or anything, but that's what she told me. Every religion, European based Christianity, every book that I ever looked at, or most of us that had pictures of people from the Bible, showed them all as Europeans. And let me tell you why that's important. Not anything against European people, because it's not what I'm saying. But see, when you're a black person in America and you have been through what black Americans have been through, and because basically the propaganda, the movies portray our people as being a certain way, and you know the things we've been taught in school. So let's say if there's different Christian denominations. Every last one of them paint every they show every when they have their books, all of them show the people, every one last one of the people in the Bible as white or European, which is stupid. And we didn't, because you're telling me that in Egypt, they drew pictures of people in hot Egypt in the desert, hot. And you're telling me that they was pale white people down there in Egypt, in Africa. So so all them people there, they black, but no, but white people built the. That's what they told us. That's what they tried to trick. Now the truth is coming out. The now, so you see the truth matters, because if you don't have the truth, you don't understand the Bible. You don't know who it's talking about. You don't have the right picture in your mind what's being spoken about. So like now, when we saw the movies back in the day, like say the movie called The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, and he played Moses. He was a white man, and the Israelites were played by white people, and the Egyptians were played. So all we ever saw was people making us think that that's all it was. So imagine our surprise when our people wake up and find out, we find out and it's proven to us that it was us that was in the Bible all this time, that it was black people in the Bible all this time. We thought that people were making us, we just didn't think it. People was making us think all this time that people in the Bible was white when they was really black. Then it made sense. Why in the world did those people, they don't belong in Africa? Even let me, I mean, the sun is not friendly to that type of light white skin. In many of the drawings that we used to see, the people weren't just white with a tan, they were white, and that doesn't make sense for the area you were in. And you drew pictures of them, the slaves out there in the sun, the hot sun. And so it's like you it's like saying that God didn't know what he was doing. That's what people's doing. They when they did that, they say God didn't know what he was doing because we're not going to let those people be black. We're going to paint them white, and we're going to refuse to acknowledge. So they get this. So they went to the Sphinx. They broke the nose off. They broke the noses off the statues and everything, so people wouldn't see that they had black noses. But one thing they couldn't take away, you see them big old lips. A lot of them statues and things like that have big lips. But what happened is when they looked deeper under those pyramids into the deepest part they could find, they found something. They were shocked. Many people they looked and uh, the oldest statues that of the Egyptians showed that they were black people. They had kinky hair and big lips and broad noses. And if you for people who don't believe me, there's plenty of magazines, American magazines. There's on the YouTube, you got people who's admitting that ancient Egyptians were black. So then you find out the Egyptians were black. And you're like, well, wait a minute. The Israelites were black too. Then you realize everything that you learned. Welcome, Vic. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Yes, it's the truth. You see, everything that we were taught was a lie. Everything that we were taught, even in the Bible, yeah, we were taught the Bible stories, but we weren't told that the people looked like us. We wasn't told that our ancestors was the Israelites. We wasn't told that Moses, who we love, the story, we wasn't told he was a black man. We were lied to. We weren't told the Egyptians were black. You like God didn't have it's really silly. Like it's like saying God didn't have good sense. So that God would put the light people who will burn in that hot sun in Egypt. It's like he would put people there that could not handle the sun. It would be but yet in all these other places where it's hot like that, you see people, dark people of color. Now, when you find out the truth, everything makes sense then. And this is not a hate thing, it's a truth thing. Because guess what? People of all nations and minds have been blinded to these things. Welcome, Vic. I believe you, bro. They trick us. It's a smoke screen. Yes. Check this out. The parting of the sea was a tsunami. I don't know. If you would call it that. All I know I can tell you is the Bible helps us understand when the sea was parted. Moses parted the Red Sea, but with the power given to him by God. And the seabed was so dry, it was completely dry when they walked across. But I don't know what it was. I wouldn't say that it was, you may know something I don't know about showing the Bible was made to keep people in line. Yes. Yes. And that's what they did with the New Testament. The New Testament professes to be in harmony with the Old Testament, but it's not. It is not. And It's so many things. This is like a thing that can be dug into so deeply, so deeply. No, I don't know. I'm just speaking how I see. Okay, where do I know you from? Um, I just saw you, Vic. Where do I know you from? Um, help me remember. Was it? Are you? I know I've seen you. Help me remember, Vic. Welcome everybody. Who is there? I don't know. I've been running my mouth. Probably Nate or yeah, 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 yeah. I remember. Yeah, yeah. Now, are you? I can't remember. Are you? Where are you from? Are you also African or Kenyan or? Just so I'll know, because I didn't know that much about you. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Are you of African descent? I didn't know if you are of are Kenyan descent or whatever. My dad is Nigerian. My mom is Caribbean. Okay, so you have a very diverse ancestry. Okay, okay. There are so many Nigerians in the UK and Caribbean people from the Caribbean. I know Jamaicans. Um, but welcome here. Um, and so I don't know. Are you Vic? Are you a content creator? Let me look and see if I can find anything because I've seen you surrounding. I mean, I've seen you supporting people mostly, but I never really knew anything about you. Um, but now I do. Um, yeah, yeah. I know you support you and because I've been seeing you. Now, there was something I was going to say. Do you know what people your dad comes from? Is he Igbo or Yoruba or do you know? Because those are two of the people I mostly see as Igbos or abroad. I'm not saying there's not other people, but mostly Igbos first, and then Yorubas second. And I know there's so many groups in Nigeria as well. Um, Yoruba. Okay, okay, okay. Very good, very good. I did a video about the Yoruba people, and okay, okay, okay. Um, well, that's okay. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but then if it's sometimes it does matter. If you want to learn, there's so much knowledge out there. I did a video about the Yoruba people. Right, right. That's really the main thing you need to know who you are and learn from life. That's the main thing that people need. And if they're blessed to know their ancestry, then that's a good thing. Okay, okay. Well, welcome. Now, uh I did. I don't know if you've seen it, but I did a short video, 15 minutes long, about the Yoruba people, and many people enjoyed it. I think it's my highest is the video that I got the most views on ever, if I'm not mistaken. And and so that may be a good place to start. Um, I can't remember. I did. Let me see. Oh yeah, it's the truth. Yeah, it's been hidden. The truth has been hidden. There are people who know this. They know it. They so in other words, they would look at you, swear, and they would know who you are, but they would know and they would not even tell you. Yeah. But yeah, big. If you leave a comment, because I don't know. Let me see. Uh, if if I can, like, if you leave a comment on my channel, if you can't find the video, it's a particular one, Vic, but it has, even though it's a short video, it has a lot of information about the Yoruba people. So, but you're welcome to check it out if you want to. But yeah, let me did you let me ask you something, brother Swaya. Did you know that the Bible itself tells us that the Israelites were black? Let me know if you know that. Yeah. You didn't, brother Swaya, so you didn't know who you were, did you? You didn't know that Bantus are Israelites, did you? Yeah. Here's something I created in the family. You have slave master names, but out of African names can be traced. Oh, okay, yeah. Uh, there are many names that have survived. African culture has survived even in the Caribbean islands, and especially the Yoruba culture. The Yoruba culture is the most one that I see that's influenced, because um, the Yoruba people have influenced, like, I think, like, just all over the Caribbean and South America. Even some of their religious things that they practice come from Yoruba a lot of times. Not all, but there's people who know that they are Yorubas right now. As a matter of fact, in Mexico, there's the group of people, they were sent there in slavery. Okay, they're African descendants, but they're Israelites too. They know that they know tribes that they came from, and Yoruba is one of the major tribes. And there's a group in South, was it South or Central America? I can't think of the name. They're Yorubas. They have Yoruba culture, but yeah, the names and um yeah, do people don't like brother Sway of black people, even original Qatari people are black, but now the country's full of yeah, yeah. Those areas have been filled a lot of times with European or Eurasian people, or like Turkic people like that. The But the original people are black, and a lot of times they're there but they don't show them, like they're not going to show them on TV or anything like that. 7. Why? Wow. Why would I wonder why there would be 7 original African names on it on that certificate? Why? Um if you but yeah, let me see if I can if you I have seen pictures in an old video, okay, of people. I think it's from 1948 or something, like the 19 early 1900s. Okay, the grandparents gave you the names. Okay, that's very nice though to be able to have that. Do you know the meanings of the names, um, um, Vic? So, so you can look this up. So it's been on even on like newspapers and things like that, and it shows the how the people looked in Israel during that time. I think it was like during the 1920s. No, I think it was 1910, something like that in that time frame or something like that. 1920s, 1930s. But when you look at what they looked like, they were very, very black people, dark black. Like I'm brown, right? They were like dark brown, very dark. And they had like woolly hair. Just no, uh just mean win or winner. Okay, okay. Yeah, there's so many. Um, I've looked at the Yoruba names, and a lot of those names that like the Igbo people or the Yoruba people will have are connected to God. Um, um, I'm trying to think of some. I'm sorry. An example is like the Yoruba language. Okay, the Yoruba language is also Hebrew. As I've talked to Brother Swaya, he's in Qatar, and but he's Abagusi. That's his people. They're Bantu people. They speak they speak many Hebrew words, and there's no different for the Yoruba. And one of the names, I don't know if you know this, but I'll say it anyway, and I'll respond to you in a second. But one of the names of that the Yoruba people uses for God is called Olua, and you probably heard that. Vic, I'm thinking. Um, you say one of my names is Ade Segun, which means King of Wars. Okay, okay. Because I think Ade means king. If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Um, because I'm going to tell you, it's God. It's nothing but. I'm sorry. If it wasn't for God showing these, it's Him. It's through Him that I'm doing this. It was, and so, but anyway, so all praises to God. So Alua, welcome everybody who's here too. So let's see what I did here. Oops. So Alua is a Yoruba name for God. And but there's something, and then let me write this one. Now write one because okay, let me show you something here. I thank you for coming, Vic. Okay, now let me show you something. So, um, okay, Alua is one of the names that the Yoruba people call God. 1 second here. And 1 second, then I'll show this to you. I want to show you something right fast. That's very important to kind of prove what I'm telling you about the Yoruba as well. Okay. So, oh yeah, yeah. And you're welcome. And then I'll say like this, praise God, because he's the one who shows us all, right? All wisdom comes from him. And so, and then, I had to learn. Some people had to teach me, and then I learned, and then what happens, sometimes you learn things that other people didn't know. And then they learn that other people, and then you just share information. Because that's how the awakening is. In other words, because our history was taken away from us, and our history has been chopped up, chopped up. So basically, the truth is here in this book. The truth is in the Bible, in these verses here. There's the truth. That then you understand. And then the truth is in that book, and the truth is in this book. That's how it happens. And so and then you'll find out the truth when you're doing reading about things like I did. That's how before I officially knew that Bantus and West Africans are the same people. Uh, well, oh, you say they tried to blind us with the truth. Well, from the or do you mean they tried to blind us from the truth? Yeah, there has been a lot of but and see going along with what you said, if you read Ezekiel chapter 37, it's in the Old Testament. It speaks of God bringing our people back to life. It's called the Valley of the Dry Bones, but that's really about our people, West African descendants and Bantus and descendants of slavery. But basically, it's about God bringing His people back to Him, and this awake. And there's another verse that says that our people will awaken in the lands that we were scattered or enslaved in. We will awaken there and then return to who we are, return to our God. Yeah, that's a prophecy. I have to find those verses. I'll go over that one day. Yeah. Now you're right. Excuse me. So what I do, because I don't follow, it's easy for me because I don't follow the New Testament anymore. I only follow the Old Testament and the Almighty God, the Creator, the living God, Yahweh. Because when I do these signs from God, Yahweh shows me that it's Him showing me. I don't know if you've ever seen. I've done videos that have signs with God in them. Yes, Ibrahim Traore is an Israelite too. I did a video about his tribe, the Mosi people. I mean the Moshi people. Israel is Ibrahim Traore is an Israelite. Yeah, he's one of the children of God from the Bible. Yeah. um Vic says, like Old Testament said, eye for an eye. New Bible said, turn the other cheek. That's a remix. Yeah. All this foolishness. And that's why I was saying before that they use that Bible and those teachings to pacify us. So when the colonizers went around and conquered black and brown people, or even when they conquered other people, even in Europe, but particularly black and brown people, they gave us those teachings, the Christian teachings, which are, they claim to be, like I said before, they claim to be following God, the Old Testament. They claim to be in harmony, but what they do is actually they try to destroy the Old Testament teachings, but in a very nice way. And they are not. It's not in harmony. So this is an eye for an eye. Now listen, the Bible says that God does not change. Let me, before I get into that, let me show you something. So I like to use Bibles with Yahweh's name in there. There are several of them, but the one I use all the time is called the World English Bible. I don't follow a lot of different versions. I look at the King James Version sometimes. The only time is if I'm not sure about a word, or if I want to see how something is written, I'll look in several Bibles to kind of get like see how most of them translated, okay? And but the World English Bible has Yahweh because God's name is supposed to be in the Old Testament over 6,800 times. But they took Yahweh's name out. They took God's name out and then just replaced it with Lord, you know? And so by them taking out Yahweh's name, our people have lost touch with who the true creator is, who their God is, in the God, because all Bible prophecy, end times prophecy, is about God gathering the Israelites from all the lands that they were scattered in slavery and oppression. Let me tell you something. Even the Bantus and West Africans have been scattered. They're living in exile. You know why? Because they've been in Africa a long time, but the Bantus and West Africans are not from Africa originally. So even they're from Israel. They're Israelites. So even the Bantus and West Africans are living in exile. Did you know that? Even them are living in a land that's not their own originally. Even though, yes, the lands they're in now have become their home. But the Bantus and West Africans are from the Middle East. And you see, so when you take out the Yahweh, so all Bibles need to have Yahweh's name back in there over 6,800 times, where it's supposed to be, because only then do you give the, because if he had the names, if you believe that the Old Testament is by divine guidance or divine inspiration, then you know that God had his name put in there 6,800 times for a reason. And when people take it out, they change the meaning. You know what they do? They take the name of Yahweh out the Old Testament. So when you read the New Testament and you look at Old Testament verses and it says Lord, they can say, oh, that's Jesus. But when you have a correct Bible with Yahweh's name in there thousands of times where it's supposed to be, you get the understanding. I'm telling you, you understand that there's only one God. And when you read what the Old Testament really says, there's no need for a New Testament. Because Yahweh promised he's there in, if you read Isaiah chapter 43, 40, 44, I think 42, 45, a lot of those in there, and you read what it says about God, it says that he's the only God. Yahweh is the only God. It says there is no God besides me. It says Yahweh is the king. That Yahweh is the savior. that Yahweh is the one whose name we should call to be saved from the day of the Lord when it happens. So how did it get to be where somebody came and said years later and say, "Oh, I'm God"? I'm just I'm not trying to hurt some people's feelings, but I won't. If I don't tell the truth, first of all, then I'm not. Then I'm wrong, and I love Yahweh, so I'm going to tell the truth about Him because He is our all. He's the God of our people. Understand this: that we as Israelites have a special bind with Yahweh, and Yahweh is our God. We're His people. We are linked. God made a covenant with us that cannot be broken. And even if we try to break it, if we follow another God, that doesn't mean we're still under that covenant. We are bound to Yahweh. And that's what our people need to understand. Um, yes, Vic, I have so much to learn. Oh, let me see. Oh, I missed a lot. I'm sorry. I've been running my mouth and I missed a lot of I'm sorry about that. I missed some of the comments. Let me go back. So it's where Black people, are you Black American or African American? Where are your roots? You look African. African? I'm yeah, Africa. West Africa mostly. But even though we do have Bantu that were sent into because some of the first slaves here were sent from Bantu Angola, from Angola, yeah. A lot of people don't know that. The first slaves sent here were from Angola. Um, yeah, a lot of people tell me I look African. I had somebody tell me that a couple people even recently say I look African. But guess what? I am. I claim my African roots. In other words, I embrace them. But if somebody asks me what am I, I'll say Black American, okay? But I have nothing against being called African American either, because guess what? Our bloodline comes through there. Yeah, but yeah, even though it's from years back, we come from Africa, and then our people that in Africa, thousands, hundreds, and thousands of years ago, came from Israel. Okay. Uh, Vic says, "Let me tell you something. When slavery was stopped in England, they paid slave masters a payment for slaves they had to let go." Yeah. So they compensated the slave masters, but not the slaves who did all that work, free labor, and went through all that hell and torture and grueling work that they had to go through. They paid. So I don't know much about slavery in England, but I know that it happened. And so instead of paying the slaves, they paid the masters. And that's is that what you're saying? And so and our people have not been repaid back yet. But guess what? That's why. Listen, let me tell you something, Vic, and all Swaya, anybody who's here, let me tell you something. That, and also Israel, if you're here too. But if let me tell you something. People go to church, but if they really knew, they believe what they were told to believe, and they believe and many people don't really even read the Bible. But if people really knew what the Bible said and who the Bible is really talking about, because you have to know who the children of God are, which are our people, right? Once you know that we're the Israelites that God is talking about, when you read a lot of people, when if they saw what the Bible really said, would be terrified. They would be terrified to know what the Bible said is going to happen in the last days. See, Christianity took the Bible and made it look like well, all good people are going to heaven and all bad people are going to hell. And no matter what you did, if you believe in that guy, I'm just telling the truth. If you believe in the guy, Jesus we gave you, blind hair, blue eyes, you can do whatever, especially the black people. You can do what you want to do to them and then say, oh, I'm saved. I'm serious. That's how it looks. And so, but that's not the truth. See, Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament, is a strong God. He's fair and he's loving, but he ain't no weakling. And so it's foolishness. Let me tell you something else foolish that the Bible's true. I got so much to learn. Yeah, we all have so much to learn. I still have a lot to learn. All of us. I have not read the whole Bible, so I'm confused. But all these different Bibles are confusing. Okay, yeah. Can I live eye for an eye, or will God punish me? Uh, well, the problem with that is when we living in the land of the Gentiles or the land of the nations where we were sent, they have laws, and if you break one of those laws, getting eye for an eye, then you're not in Israel right now. You're not in your country where we're really supposed to be and where we will go again one day. You understand? So if you break those laws, you could very well end up in prison or serving a very long prison service and fines. And so I wouldn't I wouldn't live eye for an eye right now. I would live as now you can. And if you go by Mosaic, if you go by the old law, the Mosaic law, which is not really law, it's not old, it's the law that we were supposed to follow from that time forever. So it's really not old, but I won't say Yahweh will punish you. God won't punish you because you be following what the Bible said. But remember, we're not in the law was written to Israelites who were in Israel at that time. So if you the other nations, now some countries follow an eye for an eye. If you do something and somebody gets you back, it's your fault. The people get that. But if you're in a nation with laws and the law says you're not able, you if you do this to a person, you'll get in trouble and you go to prison. You don't want to do that. So I would do like what God says to do, like in Proverbs, how he teaches us to be wise. I would use wisdom and um um Vic, half the supermarkets are owned by slave masters. Okay. You mean the major the major brands, the major supermarkets, and then the next Vic says, I mean, if I do eye for an eye, how would God view me? I can't speak for God, I'm careful about that. All I know is what the law says, and the Bible says that God does not change. See, people try to lie and make like God changed, but God doesn't change. So how would it be that when the Old Testament plainly tells us that God does not change, you have a guy who comes to say, "Well, I changed, or I changed now," and so we're going to get rid of all that stuff I said. And let me tell you something. Do you know the dumbest thing that's one of the dumbest, most wicked things that's in the New Testament? And tell me if you've heard this. Y'all let me know if you've heard this. Okay. This lets you know the New Testament is wicked. Now listen now to what I'm about to tell you. So let me know you've heard the Old Testament says the honor thy father and mother, right? You've heard the Old Testament say that. Okay. That's a commandment. The commandments are stick and they're not to be broken. Those are the commandments. And those are the things that we're easily able to follow. In other words, if you follow the commandments, there's no law. There's How can I say that? You're not going to get in trouble because if it says do not covet in the commandments, do not covet your neighbor's wife. As long as you don't lust your neighbor's wife and don't mess with his wife or commit adultery, then there's no law against that. In other words, the commandments are good. They're going to keep you out of trouble. But what I'm saying is, now let me tell you, I'm sorry, I do that sometimes. The dumbest, most evil thing that the New Testament says. Now listen to how dumb this is. It says, I'll show you. I'll show you. No, let me just, because it's, the verse, it says is if a man loves his mother, father, brother, sister more than me, okay, it says hate your father, hate your mother. I do need to read it because I don't remember. 1 second. I'm gonna show you something that shows you how crazy, how the New Testament twist up and it's really trying to destroy law. Like, for example, the Sabbath day, the day of holy day is supposed to be on Saturday, but the New Testament, Christianity, changed it to Sunday. So let me show you something. Scripture said that you must hate your mother, father, brother, and sister. New Testament. Now listen to this. This is in Luke chapter 14, verse 26. This is evil. And see, I used to misunderstand it. But now I've changed and I've repented. In other words, I know how foolish this is. It says, Luke chapter 14, verse 26 of the New Testament. Jesus says, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and his wife and children and brethren and sisters, and his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? I know that I just didn't read the Bible say that Jesus said to hate your father and mother, that if the people who you're supposed to love, didn't the Bible say that a man's supposed to love his wife as himself? You're supposed to become one flesh. The Bible said, honor thy mother and father. But then Jesus comes and says, now let me find that in a different version. Are you seeing something wrong with it all? But now, let me show you something. Let me show you something. Oh yeah, this is good. We're going to look at it in a few different verses. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. I got a brother who's Pentecostal. We see things so different. Yeah. I mean, and it's normal. Well, see, because there's so many different denominations, just like along with Bibles, it's so many different denominations, and and different teachings of the same Bible. This church. So, but guess what? There's supposed to be only one truth. And if our people, the Israelites, will follow the Old Testament, like the commandments and things like we're supposed to, there's only one truth. There is only one law and one in statutes and commandments that our people were given, and they were not to, and our people were warned not to deviate from them. So that quickly eliminates any other religion, any other teaching. But yet, all these religions have different teachings and different interpretations. And guess what? It confuses people. It causes clashing. So let me show you something. Bible verse that says, love thy enemies. So you see how dumb this is? It says, let's go back and look who it says to hate. So it says, let's look in let's see which version. Uh in other words, that's translated in his language. Um I tell you what I'll do though. I'll just read the World English Bible translation. If any man comes to me and doesn't disregard his own father, mother, wife, children, brothers, and sisters, yes, and his own life also, he can't be my disciple. Okay, that version says disregard. Um, let's look in the Young's literal translation. It says, if anyone doth come unto me and doth not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, and yet even his own life, he is not able to be my disciple. What kind of fool would say? Are you kidding me? We taught this stuff. We were taught this stuff, but we'd have to. What kind of fool would tell us to hate when the commandment said, "Honor thy father and mother" is a commandment? It says so many times. Okay, and then you're supposed to love your wife and the children. Father's supposed to provide for them, take care of whatever whoever. It's the and we've also learned that it's love in different places. We learned about love, how we should have love for each other, right? Even that's in the Old Testament, not the New Testament. But yet, somebody comes and tells us, and we heard it, we read it in church, but we didn't even see how crazy this is, did we? Now listen, let's find another version. The NIV, the Catholic Church's version. It says, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and yes, even his own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. Well, let me tell you something. I wouldn't be his disciple telling me something that evil. To hate your mother and father, that's evil. To hate your wife, that's evil. To hate your children, who you're supposed to show love and cultivate, teach them about God, leave an inheritance to. Get your children ready to carry on the family name, all this. And he says, you have to hate your children? Who's crazy enough to hate their children? Now let's keep going. Then, if that's not bad enough, they must hate their brothers and sisters. You have to hate your brothers and sisters. And if that's not bad enough, you have to hate your own life. So you have to hate yourself too. So if you, but then didn't Jesus? No. Didn't Jesus say, "Love thy neighbor"? Am I lying? Didn't he say that love is a fulfillment of the law? Does anybody heard it? Write to me now. Put it in the chat if y'all have heard that love and love thy father and mother. Love is the fulfillment of the law. Okay, because people ask Jesus, supposedly they ask him what's the best law, the most important laws. The first one he said was love thy father, love or God more than you love yourself. I think it's something like that. But then it says that in love is the fulfillment of the law. Okay, Have y'all anybody heard this? Let me know if I'm saying something wrong. So now, so I'm going to show you something. So Jesus is supposed to be love, 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 right? Remember, you're supposed to have love. Jesus says if somebody slaps you on the left cheek, turn the right. Right? But yet, after saying all that stuff about love, he goes on to say, let's find this again. Jesus is quoted as saying, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. You know who does say to love? Let's look at that now. You know who Jesus did say to love? This is insane. And I heard it wasn't until I heard somebody teaching this, and then I really truly came to understand how my mind opened up to see this thing here. Now, so you're supposed to hate your loved ones, your family, your wife, your mother, father, and your children, and even yourself, your brothers, sisters, and even yourself. But you know who the Jesus told you you're supposed to love? Matthew chapter 5, verse 44 says, but I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Did you see that? Am I saying something wrong? Look it up if you don't believe me. After just telling you that you need to hate in what was that? John chapter, if you don't believe me, Luke chapter 14, verse 26. Matthew says, but after you're supposed to hate everybody in your family, everybody that including your wife and children, your mother and father, your brothers and sisters, you're supposed to hate them and even hate yourself before you to follow Jesus, right? But then turns right around and says, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. But it doesn't say to love your mother and father. You see what I'm saying? It's insane. It's evil. It's wicked.